cannot avoid. We can only respond appropriately and just maybe there should be no other typhoon for at least a respite of 6 months so that we can alleviate the situation. I've been traveling, napuntahan ko naman lahat at well, I'd like to explain to the people why we cannot declare the state of calamity kaagad. For the simple reason is there's a hindrance, a legal obstacle to just shoot from the hip right away, which dapat yun yung sitwasyon. But ito kasing it must be critical is the three days. Ang problema, there is a law covering the power to declare a state of calamity insofar as my office is concerned, because it must be based on the assessment and evaluation and the report of the government on the ground. Ang problema yung assessment, pati yung evaluation, or even just to declare, maghintay ng report yan before I can. So it should be the assessment of Undersecretary Halad bago ako makagalaw. And that is really so many provisions in the law that would hinder government to just act immediately. Because, I said, there has to be, before the declaration, there has to be an evaluation and the assessment of damage before you can declare a state of calamity. These are the things that are the stupid laws passed by Congress. Sila man ang final word dyan sa whether it should be or it should be not. Ang kasi the critical, and everybody knows, it's 3 days. Maghintay pa ako ng report. And I cannot rely on Undersecretary Halad kasi kasagsagan lang yan ng and to base an evaluation or assessment of the damage could not be had immediately. That is really silly, and that puts a cap on my power as to this declare the state of calamity. Kaya we had to call DBM na kung ganon, patay na lahat ng tao. Because si Undersecretary Halad is busy rescuing and retrieving patay na tao. Sino namang ugok na magawa yan niya immediately so that there should be a declaration that the law should be changed. And it behooves upon this Congress, if they want to, or the next president, may I advise, try to repeal the law so that government, there is already the warning. Hindi na kailangang assessment because the warning just too far away for us to prepare. Ano nandyan na, with so much preparation, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, 11 days, 12 days, 13 days, 14 days, 15 days, 16 days, 17 days, 18 days, 19 days, 20 days, 21 days, 22 days, 23 days, 24 days, 25 days, 26 days, 27 days, 28 days, 29 days, 30 days, 31 days, 32 days, 33 days, 34 days, 35 days, 36 days, 37 days, 38 days, 39 days, 40 days, 41 days, 42 days, 43 days, 44 days, 45 days, 46 days, 47 days, 48 days, 49 days, 50 days, 51 days, 52 days, 53 days, 54 days, 55 days, 56 days, 57 days, 58 days, 59 days, 60 days, 61 days, 62 days, 63 days, 64 Ganon, hindi mo mapigitan yung hangin pati tubig eh. So tinawagan kong DBM, sanabi ko, I'm going ahead with the operation of government. Meaning to say, hindi na ako maghintay. Kalukuhan yung maraming batas dito sa mundong ito na dito sa Pilipinas in particular that it does not help but rather it plays a burden dito sa mga tao sa gobyerno to act immediately. Well, of course, we have to thank the military and the police. Have done a good job in all the areas that were hit by the Typhoon Odette. They were there, but handicapped sila. Ang kanila is to maintain order in all the areas, especially when the food is scarce, pati tubig. And with even so much preparation, hindi na kadating-dating doon kasi may mga tumba na inyog, kahoy. So, ever so slow ang movement ng respond ng gobyerno. Nasabi ko na ito. Tayo may... So, tinawagan niya siya. Sabi ko, sabihin mo sa pakisabi na lang kay Sakuwa na hindi ko hintayin yung batas na to operate during a situation like this. Marami talagang batas na nakikita ko na hindi dapat yan sa statute books. An emergency is an emergency, and it is not dependent na because the extent of the damage would really be it could not even be done in 1 month. Tapos maghintay ka para mag-declare ka ng state of calamity. When you're able to draw funds and for the government machinery really to move faster. Ang nangyari dyan, itong isang batas, dapat talaga, I don't know kung nakinig yung mga congressman ngayon, pati senador. They would leave a good law that can be applied immediately, right after or during the destruction, and while there is still the wind and the tubig, na talaga ang tao. Malaala ko nga pala, may I just direct sino bang DSWD siguro, Ron. Makita mo doon sa ibang lugar, plastic yung over the heads. So, I don't know what's the correct translation of trapal. Well, is that those fabric or is it plastic? Nabili ko muna i-assess mo yung mga tao natutulog sa labas, emergency. So magbili ka ng trapal, the appropriate size for a family of maybe you target good for 6 people. Kasi ang trapal would protect the people from the cold. So gabi, natutulog lang ang plastic. Kaya maghabol pa ako ng I will be just back up lang ako ng national agencies. But babalikan ko yung lugar na tinatamaan. And housing has dito ang sabi ni padala sila ng pera. Pati, pero ako na, andyan man yung pera siguro, magbili ng mga trapal, no, muna. Kawa yung, if it can be done within 48 hours. If you can buy the appropriate size, we cannot really be exacting about it. So just you estimate about a trapal that covers a family of 6. The areas where wala pa talagang repair na magawa. Now, before I forget, going to Siargao, and for the places that were damaged, maraming nyug. Dito sa Siargao, almost tumbal lahat yung coconut trees. Ang akin, if there's a sense there, magbili na naman ako ng chainsaw. Mahirap kasi kung mapasa-pasa masisira yung equipment. So it has to be someone padala natin doon na hindi na puro bagsak na lahat. So doon na lang natin yung gawain yung materials, get it from where yung nasira lahat. Yung nyug nagpatong-patong tumba. Yun na lang ang gamitin natin. Wala na yung sino yung may-ari ng mga lands that are planted with coconut tapos natumba. Ibigay mo na lang sa kapwa-tao mo. Kasi yung lumber doon na sa Siargao kung magtayo ng mini sawmill doon. Madali ka. Diyan mismo nandyan na yung kahoy. So it should come out as a lumber pero coconut. And that material is not really advisable to be used. But for temporary, yun na lang muna. We can always baka pinturahan natin ng itim na para hindi masyado madami. Coconut kasi talagang pinturahan mo alkitran to at least slow down the deterioration until yung housing makagalaw. Ang talaga nilang yun is shelter. Food is available. Andyan si Rolly. Sabi niya, sufficient ang supply natin sa pagkain. Kaya natin. Ang problema kasi dito, sinabi ko na noon, experience, ako lang man siguro, si Secretary, si DPWH, nandito, alam niya yan. Alam niya na unang talagang hingiin tubig, pagkain, shelter, yung mga mahihirap. Marami yan. Yun ang unahin natin. May pera naman. So, magbigay ako ng the usual. I'm giving 5,000 per family. Yun ang pero just nothing. Itong pera na which I have gathered, the money that I have gathered so far would be sufficient for the assistance of 5,000 for everybody. yung the novel ideas o yung mga nyog, ayaw na natin, magbili na natin maraming natumba na. Kung ipagbili, sana ibigay. At in the meantime, ihabol ninyo yung role, yung magpakanbas ka kagad, Secretary Bautista, ask your people to hindi na pwedeng bidding. Pero kung gusto na nilang bidding, okay lang, walang problema yun. Pero it will really delay the assistance that would be appropriate for the situation. That's yung nadating baron yung pagkain na almost na tulong na in all areas.
Mr. President, actually naka-preposition yung mga family food packs natin, even water and adding housing materials. Yung availability lang po, Mayor, ng ating mga air and water assets kasi puno po sila ngayon. Kaya once available po, pinupush natin, kinakargahan natin ng mga food, water, and other shelter materials, Mayor.
Well, the critics, we are always wrong and they are always right. But that is nga yung nag-i-issue ng gano'n. Akala nila kasi in their young mind, however old they are, na dito sa hindi ito na martial law na you can just draw the money and start buying. Itong mga trapal, marami man siguro yan. Ikaw na munang niyan, Secretary Bautista. I leave it up to you to solve the problem. But we will give you the money. Then if you have done, tapos ka na, kindly report to me when you are ready to ship it out. So it's going to be tomorrow and the next day and maybe the next day. Basta malagyan na. Pagdating lang sa baba, yung the highest military or police on the ground in that area should supervise the distribution with sa sa departamento. Maybe we can make a difference before New Year. Yung iba na nakatanggap na, I hope that kayo na tumanggap na ng ayuda sa gobyerno, I hope that gamitin lang ninyo sa ang pera, however meager it is. We do not expect you to buy the material. In the meantime, steady lang muna kayo. Magpadala ako ng mga trapal just to shelter you from the elements of rain, lamig. Parang gawain yung tent o tent. In the meantime na nagbirada tayo. So ako I just ano pa ba yung well anyway let us begin with Secretary Lorenzana. If you have something to report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening po, and fellow workers of government, good evening. I'm going to report on the update of the DNDAP on the its ADR operations at the aftermath of Typhoon Rodrigo, Mr. President. Next slide, please. Ito yung mga na-deploy na personnel ngayon, Mr. President. May mga, each region had their own personnel, totaling 6,886. Kung kinakailangan pa, Mr. President, we can still deploy people. Next slide, please. Ito naman yung mga assets na deploy for Region 4B, 6, 7, 8. Meron tayong isang C-130 na lumilipad, isang C-295, one C-212I, isang Fokker 27, saka 4 na Black Hawk dun sa region na yon. Dito sa ano to. Sa Region 4B, 1 Nomad, 2 PN Islanders. These are used for transportation of relief goods and in Dream Sea, disability food and non-food items. The ICT personnel, which we brought them to their destination to bring VSAT communication systems, generator sets, and equipment. Next slide, please. It continues. This is the continuation of the assets deployed. Region 6, 7, 8, 7 Black Hawks, 1 Huey, 1 Bell 412, and 1 UH-1H. Region 13, 4 in Caraga, Surigao City, 4 is Black Hawk, 2 Bell 412, total of 16. Next, continuation of this total assets deployed during this calamity, Mr. President. 35 total air assets, and sorties are 147. Total weight of transported goods and equipment is 202,405 pounds. Number of stranded tourists evacuated from Siargao to Manila is more than 300. Next slide. Naval assets, ito rin po, marami tayong nakadeploy. Itong mga barko na ito, malalaking barko yan. Region 4B, Puerto Princesa, Palawan, Region 6, 7, and 8, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Region 13, others 5 vessels being deployed. And now total number of naval assets is 15, and total weight items is 1,400 tons of goods. Next slide. Other updates, the armed forces are conducted rapid damage assessment through the concerned unified commands. They will also participate in the post-damage assessment later on, Mr. President. There is a marine amphibious ready unit deployed for clearing operations in Cebu City. And the AFP also deployed a mobile kitchen in Cebu. And there is an carpentry team, AFP carpentry team in Southern Leyte to help to reconstruct destroyed houses and other facilities. Next slide. Ito po yung mga larawan ng mga kasagsagan ng bagyo just immediately after how the troops help the people. Next slide. Ito yung road clearing operations. Itong ating sundalo, may mga dala-dala silang chainsaw. Next slide. Ito rin yung relief operations. The soldiers bringing relief operations to the areas. Next. Power restoration equipment. Ito, dinala din natin doon, magaling sa Manila. Next. Transport of water treatment. Ito mobile na treatment plant. Ito dinala natin through the C-130. Next. Medical services to the BRP ang Pangulo. Ito ngayon, Mayor, nasa Siargao ito to help those people there. Transport of generators and communications equipment. Next slide. Deployment of medical teams and mobile kitchen. Ito na yung mobile kitchen natin. Transport of stranded tourists individuals from Siargao to Manila. Logistic support. This is another relief operations by our troops. Next slide. Another relief operations when they brought rice and everything. Evacuation of civilians from the flooded areas or destroyed areas. Next. Another relief operations in coordination with the PCG, Philippine Coast Guard. Next. This is the Christmas drop for our troops in the KIG, Mr. President. Meron tayong siyam na features dyan. So nagdala, itong chopper na to, nakasakay ito sa isang barko natin malaki. And then kung malapit na sila doon sa islands, dadalhin nila yung mga, tapos ihuhulog lang doon sa island. So all 9 features receive their Christmas food and everything to celebrate the Christmas, Mr. President. Next. Ito yung pag-asa. This is actually pag-asa, Mr. President. Ito, nakita niyo yung lechon na yan. Actually, pag-asa was also devastated by the typhoons, and we are also planning to rehabilitate it. Next slide. Christmas drop. Ito yung mga binagsak natin doon sa mga tropa natin sa mga islands. Next. Yan lang po, Mr. President, ang update ng Armed Forces relief operations.
Thank you, Secretary Lorenzana. Many things outside of your mandate na kunti-kunti lang. But I'm very happy to see the Coast Guard deploying their small craft to move around, and of course the Air Force. The Navy is also there. I sent the Pangulo, yung yate ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas, and we never used it actually. So pinadala ko doon sa, I think it's in Siargao na doon. Mabuti pa, ibigay ko na sa kanila yan. Kasi para may yate-yate sila doon mga tao. As I said earlier, I am mobilizing all resources of government. At nakita ko ang response natin. We cannot, except for really the most urgent and immediate yung response, it can only be completed, or the ideal numbers is still rising exponential man ang ano doon. But ang worry ko ngayon, kung umabot na yung mga pagkain, tulong, yung nakita ko doon na nakalabas lang sa kanilang hindi man rin silang pwede magtira nung ilan lang yung bahay doon na residential, yung siguro mga mayaman nakapagtayo sila ng maganda, but yung nagninegosyo lang yun, naubusan talaga ng I said yung resources. Kailangan ang municipal mayor pati yung barangay captain. You know what? I hope that the NPAs will not really tinker into the operation na itong response ng gobyerno. Kasi yung sa Sipalay, pagdaan namin ang Kabangkalang because ang pumaputok early is Kabangkalan. Yun ang naririnig ko. Ang pagdating kami doon, sa chopper for the initial look at the damage, ang Kabangkalan wala talaga. But a few kilometers upwards, nandoon yung lugar ng Sipalay. And what is really very scary was that I was with Secretary Anyo. Were you there initially? Nung tinignan natin. Tingin kami sa taas. Kabangkalan was there was movement. Almost normal. Pero sabi niya sa Sipalay, naglipad kami doon, wala naman masyadong, yung may mga bahay pero hindi kasing rami sa ibang. So pabalik kami, when we landed on sa pagbalik, sinabi na when I was having a conference with government people, doon ko nalaman na sa Sipalay, it was almost a quiet town. It's a city actually. How it became a city. Pero kala namin wala. Ang damage pala nila at hindi kaagad nalaman those living sa coastal. Tapos pagbaha may mga bahay-bahay doon. Little did we realize that so many people were carried away and homes were destroyed. Napapunta namin pa. Even during that day, it was only later that we were informed na sa Sipalay, maraming na-damage, pati tao. So, kayong taga Sipalay, we convey to you our deepest condolences. Lalo na yung isang pamilya, dalawang pamilya na. So it's, I said, a soul-bruising experience for us all. The only way we can do that is how fast we can go back to normalcy. And the first is really how we do it. We would like to know from the report so that we can craft the appropriate assistance. May I call on Secretary Anyo to...
Magandang gabi po, Mr. President. Please put my slide. Pero public servants at mga kababayan, magandang gabi. Next slide, please. Ipakita lang po dito sa ating pag-monitor sa epekto ng Typhoon Odette. Nakita po natin na 4.2 million individuals po ang naapektuhan. At hanggang sa ngayon ay meron tayong 1,179 na mga evacuation centers na minomonitor kung saan almost about 570,000 po ang na-displaced. Pero nakapokus na lang po tayo ngayon sa 6 na regions, 14 na provinces at 222 cities and municipalities na kung saan po ang ating mga response, pati na rin po ang mga ayuda ay ating ibibigay. At makita po natin sa mga ibang related incidents na dala po ng bagyo, meron pa pong 21 flooded areas, meron pa pong mga tulay at kalsada na sira, at mga seaport at airports na hindi pa po nagiging functional. Next slide. Simula pa po ng day 1 ng ating bagyo. Actually po, kahit before dumating ang bagyo, ay ang ating mga uniformadong hanay, ang Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, BGMP, along with the Armed Forces of the Philippines at Philippine Coast Guard, ay talagang nagsimula na po ng kanilang tinatawag na rescue operations. Kasama na po ang search and rescue. Ang ating pong Philippine National Police, aside sa mga territorial forces, ay meron pong 4,000 PNP personnel para sa search and rescue at reactionary standby support force. At ang ating pong Bureau of Fire Protection naman po, next slide, ay merong 10,500 personnel na nakakumit. Kasama na rin po yung mga fire trucks, rescue trucks, at iba pang mga kagamitan para po makatulong sa clearing operations. At sila rin po ay nagbigay ng medical assistance, water rationing, clearing operation, at nagpatakbo din ng mga open kitchens at feeding programs sa mga hard-hit areas. Ang ating Philippine National Police naman din po in partnership with the AP ay nagkakandak ng Christmas Drop 2021 hanggang matapos po ang buwan na ito. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Yan. Sa inyo pong pag-uutos, Mr. President, na makapagbigay tayo ng cash assistance sa ating mga naapektuhang kababayan, ang DILG, DSWD at DND po ay nag-meeting na po noong December 24 at nabuo na po namin ang Joint Memo Circular para po sa magiging gabay sa pagbibigay ng ating ayuda na humigit kumulang po ay 4 billion pesos po ang ipamimigay natin. At ayon po sa ating DBM, ito po ay ma-release bukas sa ating mga LGUs. At ito po ang magiging gabay natin para siguraduhin po na ang mga apektadong kababayan ay makakatanggap ng cash assistance. At ang ating Armed Forces at Philippine National Police po, yung disenyong pag-uutos ay tutulong upang maipaabot yung mga ayuda na to sa mga malalayong lugar, lalo na po yung mga lugar na na-isolate. At hanggang ngayon po ay hindi natin maabot sapagkat grabe po yung epekto ng ating bagyo. At sisiguraduhin po namin, Mr. President, na ito ay makakarating sa ating mga kababayan. Meron din po tayong grievance mechanism and monitoring para kung saan pwede magreklamo po yung mga kababayan na hindi makakatanggap. At ako rin po ay sisiguraduhin natin na ang pera nito ay ma-account natin at sisiguraduhin natin kung meron pong abuso o magbubulsa ay ating iimbestigahan at sasampahan ng kaso. So sa amin pong estimate po ay within the week po, mapagsisimula tayo magbigay ng cash assistance at tatapusin namin ito ng hindi po aabot ng 15 araw. Mr. President, dahil po tayo magse-celebrate ng New Year, nais ko lang din pong ipaalala sa ating mga kababayan na ang paggamit po ng firecrackers ay hindi po pinapayagan. Kaya dito po sa Executive Order number 28, ipinapakita po natin na ang mga publiko ay dapat sumunod at ang ating mga lokal na pamahalaan sapagkat magpapatupad po tayo ng law enforcement through Executive Order number 28 na naglalayong regulahin, kontrolin ang pagbebenta at paggamit ng mga paputok o fireworks or firecrackers. At ang ating mga PNP, Bureau of Fire Protection at LGUs ay inaasahan natin magpapatupad ng maigpit ng regulasyon na ito. Ang ating LGUs ay pwede mag-designate ng community fireworks display o area na kinakailangan ay may pahintulot ang ating PNP at mayroong designated safety officer. Mas mabuti pa po sa ating mga babayan na talagang tahimik na lamang i-celebrate ang ating New Year para na rin iwas COVID at iwas disgrasya sa paputok. Yan lamang po, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Secretary Anyo. May I call on the Health Secretary to...
Magandang gabi po, Ginoong Pangulo, Mr. President, E.S. Madialdea, Senator Bongo, ang aking po mga kapwa miyembro ng kabinete at higit po sa lahat sa ating po mga kababayan. Muli, magbabahagi po ako ng updates mula po sa Department of Health ukol sa bagyong Odette, ang ating pong tugon dito. Kasama din po ang ating kasalukuyang COVID-19 response. Next slide. Base sa pinakahuling ulat po, ay nakapagtala tayo ng halos 141 nasirang health facilities sa regions 4B, 6, 7 at Caraga. At tinatayang aabot sa 195.4 million pesos ang halaga ng pinsalang dulot ng bagyong Odette. Kabilang po dito ang 50 ospital, ang isang Center for Health Development ng Region 7, ang 45 barangay health stations, 41 rural health units, 2 provincial DOH offices, isang city health office at isa pong temporary treatment and monitoring facility. Next slide. Nakapagtala rin po tayo ng clustering ng waterborne diseases sa mga apektadong rehiyon at kasalukuyang tayong nakapagtala ng 80 kaso ng acute gastroenteritis or AGE na naka-admit sa Dinagat District Hospital. 54 na kaso ng diarrhea na naka-admit sa Siargao District Hospital. At 16 na kaso ng diarrhea sa Cebu na kasalukuyang kinukumpirma ng atin pong Region 7 Center for Health Development Regional Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit. Patuloy po ang ating pagmamonitor sa clustering ng mga waterborne diseases na ito, pati na rin po ang pagpapadala ng mga kinakailangang gamot at iba pang logistical support upang matugunan ang kanilang pangangailangan pangkalusugan. Next slide. Patuloy din po ang ating pag-aabot ng logistic slide prior to that, please. Slide prior to that, Secretariat. Hindi, prior. Ayan. Okay, patuloy din po ang ating pag-aabot ng logistical support para sa nasalantang mga rehiyon at umabot na po as of December 27 sa 22.1 million pesos ang halaga ng logistical support mula po sa DOH. 8.8 million pesos naman worth of drugs, medicines, medical supplies, health kits, kasama na rin po ang mga PPEs ang ating pong naibaba mula DOH Central Office sa Regions 4B, 6, 7, 10 at Caraga. At humigit kumulang 13.3 million pesos naman ang naibaba mula CHD 4B, 7, and Caraga sa kanilang mga apektadong lalawigan. Nakapaglaan na tayo ng abot sa 300 million pesos na pondo para sa pagpapaayos ng mga damaged health facilities. 100 million pesos each para sa Caraga at Central Visayas ang atin na ibabana sa regional offices nito December 24. Samantalang 30 million pesos sa Mimaropa at 70 million pesos para sa Eastern Visayas ang naibaba ngayong araw. At uli para sa ating pong Typhoon Odette response, mayroon 32 response teams ang nakadeploy sa iba't ibang rehiyon mula sa mga Centers for Health Development, local government units at non-government organizations. Specifically, meron po tayong nakadeploy na 11 response teams sa Caraga, 7 sa Regions 8 at 5 sa Region 7 upang magbigay ng medical assistance at magsagawa rin ng rapid health assessment and surveillance at 9 na response teams upang magsagawa ng rapid nutrition assessment. Dumako naman po tayo. Next slide. Sa ating pong usual COVID-19 updates at ngayon ika-27 ng Disyembre, ngayong taon nakapagtala tayo ng karagdagan 318 na bagong kaso. At sa 318 na naidagdag sa ating mga kaso, 130 ay mula sa NCR, 51 sa Region 4A, 28 sa Region 3, 16 sa Region 11, 15 sa Region 6 at 78 naman po sa mga natitirang mga rehiyon. At para naman sa atin mga aktibong kaso, ang bilang ngayon ika-27 ng Disyembre ay nasa 9,579 or 0.34% ng ating mga kabuuan kaso. Mababa pa rin po ito at patuloy na bumababa ang ating pong mga aktibong kaso. Ang ating recoveries naman ay umabot na sa 2.7 million thereabouts at ang ating recovery rate ay nasa 97.86%. Ganun din po tumataas ang ating recovery rate. Habang ang bilang ng mga namatay o pumanaw ay nasa 51,211 cumulative at ang ating pong case fatality rate ay nananatili sa 1.8%. Ang ating positivity rate naman ay kasalukuyan nasa 1.4% nitong December 19 to 25. Mas mataas po ito kumpara sa 0.9% na naitala noong December 12 to 18. At nakakita na rin po tayo, Mr. President, ng pagbaba ng demand for testing at daily RT-PCR testing output na kasalukuyang nasa 26,356 tests kada araw. Pero banggitin ko lang po na ito po nakaraan December 25 at December 26 ay talagang mas mababa pa po ang ating testing output, Mr. President, dahil nga ay marami pong mga laboratorio na nagsara at sa ibabaw noon ay mababa na rin naman po talaga yung demand for testing ito po mga nakaraan linggo. At huli, nananatiling nasa low risk naman ang ating pong national utilization rates, 17% para sa bed utilization rate, 18% para sa ICU beds at 10% para sa mechanical ventilators. So bilang huling pagbubuod, Mr. President, patuloy namin sinusubaybayan ang mga kaganapan sa Visayas and Mindanao upang makapaghatid ng mga kinakailangan tulong at serbisyong pangkalusugan para sa mga nasalanta ng bagyong Odette. Pangalawa, tulad ng amin nabanggit, nakasalalay sa atin mga aksyon sa mga susunod na linggo ang pagdidelay ng pagkalat ng Omicron variant sa ating pong bansa. And we must take preventive actions. Lalong-lalo na nakakita na tayo ng bahagyang pagtaas sa ating mga kaso. Una, kinakailangan natin siguraduhin na ang lahat ng papasok sa bansa ay susunod sa ating quarantine at testing protocols upang mapigilan natin ang pagkalat ng Omicron variant sa ating pong mga komunidad. Pangalawa, inuudyok namin ang mga testing laboratories na magsumite sa lalong madaling panahon ang mga positibong samples for whole genome sequencing, bahagi po ng ating aktibong biosurveillance para matukoy po natin kung meron namang local transmission or local cases ng Omicron variant. At lalo-lalo na sa mga lugar kung saan nakakita na tayo ng pagtaas ng mga kaso. Ikatlo, nananawagan din kami sa mga lokal na pamahalaan na mabilis na isagawa ang active case finding, ang ating pong contact tracing up to the third generation, close contacts at referral to isolation or quarantine facilities upang masugpo natin ang mga kadena ng hawaan. At huli, ang kagawaran ng kalusugan sa pamumuno ng ating One Hospital Command Center o ang ating tinaguriang Patient Navigation and Referral Center ay makikipagtulungan sa ating mga ospital upang magkaroon tayo ng sapat na health systems capacity kasama ang mga COVID-19 beds, ang mga mechanical ventilators, ang oxygen supply, ang telemedicine providers, ang mga antiviral drugs katulad po ng mga Paxlovid at saka ito pong Molnupiravir, ang Tocilizumab, ang Baricitinib at Remdesivir at mga iba pang mga gamot para makapagsalba po ng mga buhay ng mga naapektuhan ng severe to critical COVID cases. At iba pa pong mga tulong medikal bilang po paghahanda. So dito na po ako magwawakas, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataon at handa na po akong sumagot sa inyo pong mga katanungan.
Salamat po, Secretary Duque. Art, Secretary of Transportation.
Salamat po, Mr. President, sa oportunidad na pinibigay ninyo upang ilahad namin sa inyo at sa sambayanan ang mga bagay-bagay na ginagawa ng kagawaran ng transportasyon dito ho sa panahon ng Odette, before, during, and after. Umpisan po natin yung estado ng damage dito sa tinatawag natin paliparan at airports. Mr. President, number of affected airports dito sa pagdating ni Odette ay 24. Hinimay at hinati ho namin itong 24 airport na to into 3 classes. Airports that have sustained minor damages, airports that have sustained major damages, and airports that have sustained critical damages. Doon po sa airport na have sustained minor damages, 15 po ang talagang tinamaan na paliparan. Kasama ho dito yung Busuanga, Puerto Princesa, Bicol, Katiklan, Calibo, Rojas, Bohol, Panglao, Tacloban, Ormoc, Lagindingan, Cotabato, Davao, General Santos, Butuan at Iloilo. Ito hong paliparan na to na nag-sustain ng minor damages, continuous ho yung operation nito. Immediately nung humapo ho ang bagyong Odette. Yung pangalawang klasifikasyon ho, yung airports na sustain major damages. Napapabilang ho dito, yung San Vicente, Dumaguete, Camiguin, Siquijor, Antique, Maasin, Surigao, Mactan, Cebu. Ito hong mga airport na to nakasustain ng major damages at bagamat major damages so, Mr. President, we are happy to tell you that they have started operations December 24. Iisa na lang hong airport ang wala sa klasifikasyon. Itong airport na to ay yung tinatawag natin na critically damaged. Isa po ang airport na critically damaged. Ito po yung airport sa Siargao na kung saan sa inyong pagdalaw, Mr. President, nakita nyo naman yung damage na sustain ng paliparan na to. Mr. President, I've been told by CAAP that by tomorrow, maski na ho critically damaged yung paliparan na to, Siargao will be commercially operable. In other words, Mr. President, lahat ho ng paliparan na naapektuhan ng Typhoon Odette by tomorrow will be commercially operational, maski na po ginagawa at inaayos yung mga repair na ginagawa sa mga paliparan. Sa mga susunod na slides, Mr. President, makikita nyo ho yung retrato ng mga critically damaged airport na talaga namang maaawa ka at manlulumo ka sa nangyari. Makikita rin ho yung mga rehabilitation measures na ginagawa ng kagawaran. Nandiyan din ho ang sinasabi namin estimated damages upang makumpleto yung repair. Mr. President, ito ho ay estimate. Kung kinakailangan hong madagdagan yung gastusin na to, meron hong pamaraan ang ginagawa ng kagawaran upang sa ganon mapondohan yung pangangailangan. Pinakamalaki ho dito yung pangangailangan ng Siargao, 14 million ho. Ito lang ho ay estimate na pwede namang lumaki rin. At habang ginagawa ho natin yung restoration at construction ng mga paliparan, hindi ho napabayaan ng CAAP at ng DOTR yung relief operations. Ito ho ay nagbibigay ng mga pamaraan sa mga pasahero, sa mga mananakay, upang sa ganon maging kumbinyente yung kanilang pag-aantay at pagbabiyahe. Hindi lang ho dyan, nagkaroon din ho ng relief operation ang ginagawa ng CAAP para sa sambayanan. Ito ho yung sa aviation, sa paliparan. Silipin po natin kung ano nangyari sa tinatawag na maritime sector. Mas malaki ho yung tama ng maritime sector dito kay Odette. Total affected ports, 160 ports ang affected. Pero doon sa 160 ports, Mr. President, 126 ho ang fully operational, 25 ang partially operational at siyam ay critically damaged. Ibig sabihin no, nasira yung tinatawag natin na rampa, yung dock, yung pier, hindi ho magiging operational. Nagkaroon ho kami ng pamaraan at estimate budgeting upang sa ganon mapabilis namin yung pagkumpunin itong critically damaged non-operational port. Makikita ho na kung gagawin namin ang pamaraan upang mapadali yung construction, dalawa ho yung guiding principle namin. Una ho, we will not sacrifice the quality of work. Number two, we will not sacrifice the reasonability of cost and budgetary estimate. Makikita ho sa mga susunod na slide kung ano ang nangyari sa Maasin, sa Port of San Ricardo, at nakikita nyo naman na talaga hong critically damaged. Critically damaged din ho yung Port of Getafe, Tapal at Talibon na talaga namang naperwisyo ang ating mga kababayan. Remember, ang Pilipinas ho ay archipelago. Malaking impact ho kung nasira yung puerto. Kaya nga ba't yung pagtama sa atin ng damage sa puerto ay nakakabigat sa ating pag-recover dito sa Odette, pag-recover sa ating economic growth. Sabihin ko lang po, ang ginawa ng ating PPA at ng Cebu Port Authority sa kasagsagan ng damages. Ang PPA ho, waived port fees for activities related to relief operation. Walang bayad, winaive ho yan. Priority and special lanes were given to vehicles, equipment and cargoes used for relief and recovery operation. The Cebu Port Authority suspended the collection of passenger terminal fees at the Cebu base port and in other terminals severely damaged by Odette. Food and snacks were given to stranded passengers in PPA and CPA operating activities. Alam niyo ho, sabihin ko lang ho, doon sa mga puerto na kung nasaan merong kaganapan, may shower pa rin hong ibinibigay ang PPA para nang sa ganon makadagdag sa comfort and convenience ng mga pasaherong stranded. Makikita ho dyan ang mga ginawa natin sa susunod na slides, ang mga recovery, rehabilitation at relief and rescue na ginagawa ng ating mga tauhan at pamunuan sa PPA at Cebu Port Authority. Itong slide na sasabihin ko, mahalaga ho ito. Ito ho yung inventaryo of affected routes and availability of shipping services. Tingnan nyo ho na yung number of affected routes, 40. Noon ho, ang nagseserbisyong mga sasakyan, barko at vessels, prior to Odette, 119. Ito ho, yung kaganapan bago mag-Odette. Ngayon po, doon ho, sa pagdating ni Odette and immediately thereafter, ang inventaryo ho namin, out of 119, 65 na lang yung vessels. Ibig sabihin, may kakulangan. Ibig sabihin, diyan sa kakulangan na yon, nagdadagdag ng inconvenience sa ating mga kababayan yan. Tignan nyo rin ho, na yung number of non-operational and fully damaged ship, ibig sabihin, yung mga nasalantayo na perwisyo na damage ni Odette, 45 ho ang nasalanta. Talagang napakalaki ho ang epekto nito sa atin. Ngayon, para ma-address ho yung kakulangan ng ating mga vessels, dalawa yung agarang ginagawa ng inyong kagawaran, Mr. President. Una ho, through Marina, nagpapa-issue kami ng special ship upon your instructions 2 days ago, na kung saan nagbibigay ng special permit para mag-operate. Naka-issue na ho sila ng siyam. Kailangan pa ho namin siguro doblehin yan. At habang ginagawa ito, napakalaking bagay ho yung Philippine Coast Guard. Because of their vessel facilities, nag-iikot at runirelyebo ang Philippine Coast Guard. Hindi lang ho ang Philippine Coast Guard na sa relief and rescue operation, sila rin ho ay tumutulong punuan yung kakulangan, yung pangangailangan ng mga vessels. Ang huling report ko, Mr. President, ay about the Philippine Coast Guard. Nabanggit niyo po kanina yung Philippine Coast Guard. Tama ho, yung Philippine Coast Guard ay naging vanguard at frontliner ng kagawaran ng transportasyon dito kay Odette. Kumilos ang Philippine Coast Guard before the arrival of Odette. Kumilos ang Philippine Coast Guard pagdating ni Odette. At habang umalis na si Odette, patuloy pa rin na kumikilos ang Philippine Coast Guard sa relief and rescue operation. Makikita po dito sa slide na to, ang natulungan ho at na-evacuate ng Philippine Coast Guard is 1,500 families. 1,500 lang? Hindi ho. Yung family is defined as 3 to 5. Yung tatay, yung nanay, yung anak. Ganyan ho karami ang na-rescue at tinulungan ng Philippine Coast Guard dito sa pagdalaw ng buwisit na Odette. Dito ho, makikita rin ho sa mga slides na to, yung mga talagang kontribusyon ng Philippine Coast Guard, yung dedication nila sa kanilang trabaho, exposing their life and limb for the interest of our kababayan. Pinagmamalaki ko kung ipakita yung mga slides na yan na kung saan pinapakita ng Coast Guard na sila ay pang-relief, pang-rescue, pang-alaga sa kababayan, pangangasiwa at pag-secure ng West Philippine Sea. Tingnan nyo ho, yung mga relief goods na na-transport ng Philippine Coast Guard. Sa 5 region, yung Philippine Coast Guard ho was able to transport 393 tons during the time of Odette. Napakarami ho niyan. Tumigil na ho ba sila? Hindi ho. Ngayon ho, dahil sa pangangailangan hindi lang sa pagkain, medisina, tubig at gasolina sa konstruksyon, nakipag-usap ako sa Philippine Coast Guard with Commander Laroya na kung saan prinograma namin yung mga vessel na pwedeng magamit ho para i-transport yung shelter facilities, yung sa construction materials. Ito ho ang ginagawa ng Philippine Coast Guard. At habang ginagawa ng Philippine Coast Guard ito, ng PPA, ng CAAP, sir, sa DOTR ho, Mr. President, yung mga empleyado natin dyan, kasama at LTO at LTFRB, nagkusahong nagkontribusyon silang personal na itong kontribusyon na to, goods, tubig, bigas, linikom at binigay sa Coast Guard at ang Coast Guard ay nag-transport nito. Ang ibig hong sabihin, habang ang kagawaran ng transportasyon, habang ginagawa ang kanilang trabaho, hindi lang ho muscle and brawn ang ginagamit, puso, nakikiisa. Yung men and women of the Department of Transportation na ipakita yung oneness, belonging, and sympathy to the people that have been ravaged by Odette. Yun lang ho, Mr. President. Maraming salamat ho.
Salamat, Secretary Tukade. Now, dito tayo mag-ano sa... I will discuss on this bill, yung medisina pati sa iyong departamento, Secretary Lopez. There seems to be a spike in the prices. They say that some, not all, are hoarding, and you know that you increase the price by selling more than the usual price of, for example, building materials or even food stocks, canned goods. They are getting to be more expensive for the people. Ang akin kasi, I'd like to, kung totoo, kung hindi, walang problema. Kung totoo, I am just giving you the warning na pag nahuli kayo ng DTI or nahuli kayo ng police, ang police because the jurisdiction dito sa putting a cap on the prices of goods belongs to, and even building materials, nasa sa iyo. So nandito ka man, tell us if there has been a violation or violations during this time, because you can identify them, and the Philippine National Police, we will ask them to arrest the hoarders and people who are taking advantage of the situation. Dito yan sa mga, these are the periphery mga hardware sa mga kapital nila sa for example, ang province and cities na are still operating, and they are in the periphery of the areas hit by a typhoon. Could you tell us, ang una ko dito, what I'm worried is really we have to put a stop on this, and probably we can go ahead and cap the prices of the goods available, especially medicine. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor. Magandang gabi ho, Senator Bongo ES, mga kasama sa kabinete, ang mga kababayan. Tama ho, Mr. President, kasama ho sa report natin, i-advance ko lang yung part na yon na una-una, nung mga nag-declare ng state of calamity, nag-umpisa na yung ating price cap. No, so may price control na tayo, ibig sabihin ay yung price freeze natin, kung ano yung presyo bago mag-pandemic at bago magbagyo, yun po dapat ang presyo, hindi gagalaw. That day after, I think mga hanggang 2 days after, habang nagkakagulo pa rin, marami ho talagang na-report na nag-price increase, na nagsamantala. In fact, ang order ko po sa ating mga kasama, yung mga enforcers natin, ay talagang mag-aresto ng overpricing. Actually, marami ho talaga diyang na-apprehend ay dyan po sa area ng Bohol at Cebu. Narbalitaan din po natin yung nagtaas ng mga genset. So lahat po nung mga nireport sa amin ay atin pong pinapuntahan. Sa ngayon po, lalagtaw ako sa aking chart kung pwede ring i-post ng ating technical DTI presentation. 1, 2, 3. Yung pang-apat na slide. Nag-issue na ho tayo ng, base sa mga nireport sa atin, mga 50 na explanation letters, 50 na inquiry letters, at yung kasunod doon ay kaso. Pagka ito po ay hindi talaga sa atin explain yung pagtaas ng presyo na yon. At after po na-apprehend sila, actually ho, Mr. President, kinokorek ho nila. No? So tayo ho talaga nakatutok doon sa mga nabalitaan natin na merong mga pag-increase ng presyo. After that ho, i-report ko lang ho na, for example, ang marami ring nag-report sa atin, yung presyo ng fuel na pinilahan, kasi right the day after, nagkaroon ng shortage. Nandun ng fuel, pero hindi ka agad maipump. So talagang may ganun supply and demand, nagdoble, triple, 120 to 180 pesos per liter para lang magkaroon ng gasolina yung mga gustong bumili. After ho na reprimand, ang prices ho ngayon, like sa Maasin City, Macrohon, Southern Leyte, pati sa Caraga Region, ay nagre-range na sa below 50 at saka balik na siya sa below 50 hanggang 56 pesos per liter. Ibig sabihin, ito ho ay after nagkaroon tayo ng pagsupil dun sa mga nag-violate ng mga presyo. Pakitaas lang yung slides natin. Yeah. Okay, yan. Okay, so Mr. President, tama ho kayo, kaya ho natin inattendan kaagad yung mga reklamo na yon. Pero ngayon, Mr. President, dahil ho nakita nila na nanguhuli na ang DTI at nagpatulong din kami sa CIDG, sa PNP, tumino na yung mga nagtitinda. No? So, yun ho yung ngayon, estado natin ngayon. Minonitor din ho natin yung mga nagsara na mga tindahan dahil critically damaged yung mga tindahan, mga groceries and supermarkets. Karamihan po dito sa mga regions na naapektuhan, actually makikita po natin yung Bohol na lang ang marami pang sarado. Talagang heavily damaged, 136 ang sarado pa, 104 ay open. Karamihan po, at pati sa Surigao, Del Norte, at saka Dinagat, dyan yung mas maraming nagsara kesa sa bukas sa ngayon, Mr. President, because of the critically damaged. And that's the reason po, talagang maraming nagkaroon ng paghihirap sa pagkuha ng mga basic necessities. Sa ngayon ho, ang experience natin sa pag-ikot din natin, dahil sumama po tayo, sumama po ako sa inyo, nakita natin ang talagang pangangailangan ay yung pagkain, tubig, at yun naman po yung binibigay ng DSWD. At tuloy-tuloy naman po yun. Actually, ang kailangan ho talaga nila yung relief goods dahil kung tutuusin, hindi ho lahat may pambili rin ng mga basic necessities na yon. Again, babalikan ko po yung sa profiteering na yung nag-monitor tayong establishments in Bohol, 52% compliant to SRP. Sa Cebu, 99% establishments are compliant. At yung nakwento ko kanina, na-issuehan natin yung mga violators, mga 50 na po. Ang Local Price Coordinating Council, tuloy-tuloy ang monitoring po nila. Sa Region 10, meron hong 8 na issue na letter of inquiry at 7 na show cause order sa Misamis Oriental. Pagdating ho sa supply, nakita ho natin na may kakulangan pa pagdating ho sa rice, bottled water, at fuel sa ibang lugar. Region 6, ganun din po, pati sa Region 7. Ngayon, stocks are being replenished coming from adjacent regions. Kaya ho, para tuloy-tuloy lang yung supply dun sa mga lugar na yon. Sa mga construction materials, so gensets, emergency lights are being brought right now. Dinadala po dun ng mga retailers at mga suppliers dun sa mga affected areas. In fact, ngayon po, may mga containers na dumating sa Cebu at kasama na rin po may genset din na dumating sa Tawiz, sa Bohol, mga genset supply. At in 2 days, meron pang mga ibang construction materials na darating sa Bohol. Pero ito po yung mga construction materials na nasa hardware. Alam po natin na ang immediate na pangailangan, tulad nung sinabi nyo kanina, actually ito sa walang kayang bumili. Kaya kailangan tayo magbigay immediately yung sinasabi po ninyong trapal, yung temporary solution. At over time, ang ating ibang ahensya, NHA, Housing, can provide also yung mga iba pang construction materials na dun, lalo na sa mga walang kayang bumili. Pero itong mga dinideliver ng mga hardware, ito ho yung binibili ng pangkaraniwan. Yung mga ika nga ay yung kayang bumili ng mga construction materials. On the part of DTI po, yung moving forward po yung sa amin yung pagbigay ng kabuhayan packages. In all our visits, in-identify po, nag-a-assess po tayo ng mga kailangan tulungan na mga maliliit, yung mga micro SME. Kaya sa amin po, ang kailangan maka-assess kami sino yung naapektuhan yung mga paninda nila. Paninda sa palengke, may karinderya. Yun ho yung aming ina-assess ngayon, yung pangkabuhayan, para mabigyan ng pangkabuhayan. Ang estimate po namin, mga 2,000 magiging beneficiary per probinsya na naapektuhan. Kung 2,000 yan, at bawat isa, ang programa ho natin, 8,000 to 10,000 kada micro-entrepreneur, yung beneficiary, para mabigyan ng pangkabuhayan package. So, estimate po natin, mga 20 million allocation per province. So, total po, immediately, mga 100 to 150 million pesos ang ating magiging initial assistance. Sa ngayon, ang ready po ang DTI na meron na kaming immediate na pwedeng ibigay ngayon. Meron ng 8.2 million na pangkabuhayan package na pwede na kaagad ibigay. And we will start with the 300 na profiled SMEs, micro. Dito po sa Siargao, yung ating pinuntahan to receive livelihood assistance na 8,000 worth ng mga livelihood kits per beneficiary. At next slide. Moving forward, actually this week, naka-schedule, Mr. President, dahil gusto nyo mabilisan, this week, yung pera po na yon, may allocate pa natin to 1,000 beneficiaries nakakalat to sa Region 6, Region 7, 8, at Caraga. Ito, pang simula pa lang ho to, 8 million. Pero as sinabi ko kanina, nag-allocate tayo ng 100 to 150 million. Pero in the interest of time, ito muna ang mauna, yung 8 million. Para this week, meron na tayong mabigyan ng kabuhayan. And then starting January, tuloy-tuloy na ho tayo. Using also the 2022 budget that, of course, we expect to be approved. So yan po ang pagbibigay ng ating ayuda kaagad na pangkabuhayan. Isa pa ho, ang ating SB Corporation, next chart, may microfinancing facility. Nag-agree ho kami sa board ng SB Corp mag-allocate ng 500 million pesos. Pero ito ho yung microfinancing kung saan zero interest, walang collateral, at 6 months to 1 year grace period. Yung wala mo nang babayaran para talagang magaan para ho sa mga beneficiary. And then finally, Mr. President, yung microfinancing na yon, zero interest, no collateral, 6 to 1 year grace period, nag-allocate tayong 500 million pesos. At tungkol naman dun sa pandemic, tutuloy ho natin yon. Meron tayong microfinancing na ganyan din, zero interest, no collateral. At ang napahiram na po doon ay 37,169 borrowers. 6.13 billion ho ang napahiram natin na tulungan ng mga SMEs dito po sa CARES program. Yun lang po, Mr. President.
But, Secretary Lopez, I'd like to move to the other side. I'd like, because it's yung maliliit eh. But every official that I have met or will meet again, because I intend to make the rounds to see how things are progressing. Ang lahat ng mga barangay captains, mga mayor, yung power, pati sa Cebu, talagang hirap sila. So, I'd like to know how soon can you restore the connections to make it working effort immediately.
Yes, magandang gabi po, Mayor Pangulong Duterte. Magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. Susundan ko lang po muna yung report po ni Secretary Art, yung damage po sa mga ports. No po? Totoo po yun, especially in Region 7 and Region 6, talaga po nagkabara-bara. At dun po sa pier mismo, dun po nalubog yung ibang barko. And some of those vessels that were damaged were tankers, Mayor. No? So, because of this damage sa port, nagkaroon po ng bottleneck ng pag-ship ng petroleum from Cebu going to Bohol, Leyte, and yun po naman in-address agad nating mabuti, Mayor. Talaga pong nagpapasalamat po ako sa pagtutulong-tulong, especially the Visayas Command po. Kahapon po nasa Cebu ako at nagpulong po kami doon kasama yung Visayas Command and other agencies, DOTR, and in-address nga po namin yung problema nung sa pier congestion na nangyayari dahil nga po doon sa damage sa mga ports. And they are very, very supportive under the General Daus. And in fact, we agreed to support everybody, including security, the clearing, the cutting, the engineering brigade para mapabilis po yung trabaho. And I'm very thankful for the support of the other agencies. Yung po naman yung report ni Secretary Mon Lopez about the fuel, totoo po yun na nagkaroon ng profiteering in the first day ng nagre-restoration po tayo. At ang ginawa po natin, pinalabas po natin lahat yung ating mga tao sa Visayas, sa Cebu po. No? Lahat ng office people, pinalabas po natin at pinagtrabaho po natin maging inspector and enforcement together with DTI and CIDG. And we were able to arrest the problem. And 2 gas stations were cited for show cause. And sabi ko nga, pinapaskelan ko na rin po para medyo, sabi nga, kung pwedeng mapahiya, huwag tularan po na practice na magsasamantala sa ganong problema po. So, we address that, Mayor. And tungkol po naman dito po sa ginawa ng DOE, parte sa pagpiprepara dito po at pag-restore po nitong ating mga damaged na pasilidad. Totoo po na napakalaki ang naging pinsala na dulot ng UDET dito sa enerhiya. At sa December 21 pa lang po, nagkaroon na po tayo ng preparasyon. Task Force Energy Resiliency, we convened po, no, together with other agencies and private sectors, looking at the downstream, yung po petrolyo, at yung pong electricity. Ito po namang ating Task Force Energy Resiliency, sinimulan po natin ito during this administration, and this is already institutionalized at DOE. So let me present to you the power situation and then the effects on oil supply, action taken, and way forward po. No? Tungkol po naman dito sa power sector po, there are 3 major items or major parts of the energy sector. And that is the generation, which is composed of other private players, dito mga generation companies. Then we have the transmission, which is handled by NGCP.
and then the distribution companies, the cooperative, and the other utilities like VECO in Cebu, Meralco in Manila, and the others. As far as the sa generation po facilities, they are all ready. Fully restored, meaning po tumatakbo na po yan, nagja-generate na po ng power, naitatransmit na po at nagdi-distribute na po. So, yung partially restored po, yan tumatakbo po, kaunti lang ang i-deliver dahil hindi po available yung ang transmission lines at saka yung distribution lines po, no? And still out isolated and available. Dito po ginagamit lang yung pinatay nila po kasi wala pong taker nung power yung production nila, no, the power that they can generate. So sa region 6 po, itong Panay Negros, on-grid capacity available na po dyan, 203. So maayos na po restoration work natin sa Panay and Negros region. Yung pinisita po natin, Kabangkalan, yung sinabi po natin, ay re-restore po natin yung power before Christmas. Nagkaroon po sila ng partial restoration na po. No? And it is progressing. Ngayon, dito po naman sa Region 7, ito pong Negros Oriental at saka Cebu Bohol. Dito po malaki ang ating na damage, no? Dito sa Cebu at saka sa Bohol. At sa Negros Oriental po. Sa Negros Oriental, nagkaroon po tayo ng isang casualty na lineman. Ano po, sa Noreco 2 na electrocuted po in the process of working. Total casualty po namin na lineman working dito po sa mga rehabilitation, dalawa po. Isa nabagsakan po ang ulo at namatay din po. So, as far as the power is concerned, the generation, we're all okay. But ang problema din po rito, like sa fuel po, no, nagkaroon po tayo na nandiyan po yung power, hindi po natin ibabato because of transmission. Ganun din po sa fuel, sa petrolyo. We have enough supply of petroleum, we have enough inventory. Kaya lang naging problema po, hindi agad ma-delivered because of the port congestion, na-damage po yung mga barko and the others. Dito naman po sa Northern Mindanao, okay naman po ating on-grid capacity available. Region 8, Leyte, Samar, ito po may problema po tayo rito sa Leyte and Samar. Ano po? Sa Southern Leyte po, dapa po talaga yung mga linya. Yun po pupuntahan ko sa Wednesday at pinapunta ko na rin po lahat ng industry players because we are going to discuss paano nangyari po yun. No? Dito naman po sa Northern Leyte, including Samar, lahat po naman sa distribution, okay po ang distribution niya, yung linya. Yung mga kooperatibo, pwede. Kaya lang hindi dumarating po yung kuryente dahil po sa transmission line and GCP po yon. So, dyan po, nagkaroon na po tayo ng improvement doon po sa resiliency, yung mga poste. Na medyo nagkaroon na po doon yun, because of Yolanda, napatibay na po yung mga poste ron. Instead of 150 yung strength niya, to handle 150 kilometer wind, ngayon nailagay na sa 250. And that is part of our resiliency program that we started also in 2018. The next slide po, ito po naman yung sa mga small power utility groups, katulad din po yan po yung mga SPAG area. Available po dyan is out of 87 power plants, 64 po ang available. So this is also generating ngayon po. Available po ito. And ito po yung nasa Dinagat at saka ang dito kasama po rito is sa Siargao. Ito po. Next slide, please. Dito po yung sa transmission, ito po isang another factor. Ito po, malaki po naging damage dito sa transmission. The initial report I got is around 880 posts were toppled. And 5 towers were also damaged, no, or toppled also. But as of now, ang restoration accomplishment po is 85%. 81 transmission lines has been restored out of 95. And dito makikita natin sa next slide that the latest Samar, we have 22, 18 has been restored. Ito yung PAT, ito po yung sa may Southern Leyte. Ito naman sa Cebu,
may 3 pa po tayong i-restore. Ang problema malaki po dito sa Bohol. No po? Dahil talagang ito po, hindi wala pa po tayo na-restore dito. So, but ang target naman po dito sa Bohol, we're going to have a partial energization using the 69 kV, and this is a inland operation using the barge and the diesel plant available. Magkakaroon po tayo rito ng target restoration by December 31, Buheco 1, 33%, Buheco 2, 37%, and BLCI. Ito po yung itong 50% po, ito po sa Tagbilaran at Panglao area. Ang sa Cebu naman po, ang target po natin dito, as of yesterday, we had already around 40,000 na household may electricity po. Ang karamihan po doon, inuna natin yung mga vital industries, vital installation po. Hospital, water pumps, and yung mga sa mga export processing po, yung plants, no, nauna na rin po yung mga yan. Saka of course, yung sa vaccine storage po. No? So nandun na po rin yun. So ang VECO, ito sa Cebu po, target dapat today, ang target na today is 58,000 household ang mabibigyan. Pero sa ngayon po, nagkaroon na po sila ng 61,000 po. So they're moving ahead of target, and by December 30, their target is 30, but I'm confident that they will go beyond that. And by January 10, hopefully, ang pan po is that minimum 80% energized po ang Cebu province po. Ganon din po yung sa Mactan, kasama po yung sa Mactan energization. Ito po naman sa mga cooperatives po. Ang affected cooperatives po, number of affected cooperatives 74, ang normal operation po 48, and partial power interruption 19 po. So, number of municipalities for restoration, 167 out of 937, so 17.8% restored na po siya. And this involves 2,140 household connections. So ito po, kaya malaki po, babalik po ito po sa area ng Buheco, sa Bohol po ito, Buheco, then Cebu, and then Dinagat, Dialco, kasama po rito yung sa Siargao and Suleco. Ito Siargao and Dialco po, magkakaroon din po sila ng target by December 30 na around 30% energization. There are 683 out of 937 municipalities fully restored and 87 partially restored, or 72.89% accomplishment po. No? Sa next slide, please. Ngayon, para po naman mapabilis yung trabaho, naroon po tayong task force kapatid. No po, ito po yung pagtutulong-tulong ng ibang kooperatiba na hindi apektado na pumunta sa Cebu, pumunta sa Dinagat, pumunta sa Bohol and other areas. Sama-sama po rito na nag-report. So the number of contingents, there were 628 people that came from other cooperatives with not 100 vehicles. No? And again, ito po, nakarating po doon sa tulong din po ng ating Navy and Coast Guard, PPA, CPA, and the others. So, nakikipag-coordinate po kami sa AFP and DOTR for the logistic support for this mobilization po. So, tuloy-tuloy po ito at hopefully, pag dumating na po lahat, may hinihintay po kami tatlong kooperatiba, bibilis po yung trabaho natin na pag-restore ng power in the affected areas. Dito naman po sa oil, ito po ang status po, no? So sinabi ko po kanina, wala po tayong problema sa supply po, no? Makikita ninyo sa left column, Region 4, 17 days, 13 days for Region 6, Region 7, 18 days, Region 8, 18 days, Region 10, 59 days, and Region 13 days. Ngayon, ang naging problema lang po natin dito sa fuel po, yun pong blending. Kasi by law, we have to blend gasoline with ethanol, no, 10%. Nagka-problema po doon. So what we immediately did was to suspend it, no? Was to suspend the blending. Ang blending naman yun para po sa energy security at saka sa environment. And ang naging epekto rin naman doon, ipinasa natin sa tao yung savings, no? Na nakuha doon, 2 piso. So bumaba. And fortunately, tomorrow, there will again be a reduction in price dahil bumaba po yung world market, no? So this will makakatulong po ito para sa kahirapan ng ating mga tao, mga kababayan. So today there are 215 outlets, gas station closed, no? Damaged, or either due to power load, flooding, and lack of manpower kasi hindi po naka-report agad. Yung sa LPG po, refilling plant in Region 7, 97% operational, so wala po tayong problema sa LPG. All import terminals and depots are operational, so yun po sinasabi natin na walang problema sa supply. Ang pagdakuan lang nun is yung naging logistic delays because of certain constraints on the roads, the vehicles, the vessels, and the ports. And then the price freeze is in effect on household LPG and kerosene, the following declared areas, a state of calamity, Region 4B, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 13. So, nagkaroon ng pila sa mga gas station, but yun po again naibsan na din po yung problemang yon. Kanina po tumatawag po sa akin si Governor Yap, kaya lang hindi ko po nasagot dahil nga po nandito tayo at nag-uusap. So, ang actions taken, DOE is regularly in touch with the energy industry players for recent developments and requirements through the Task Force on Energy Resiliency. DOE, ginagawa po natin ito, sabi nga po natin ito, na una na ito, 2018, ipinorm na po natin itong programang ito. And here, these are the things that we did. Preparation for the impact of Typhoon Odette, communication for updates on status and restoration activities, as well as logistic transportation. We had problem on right-of-way issues. Hindi po makapasok yung mga repair people natin because yung poste na may mga issue on right-of-way. But with the help of the LGU and the AFP, natapos din po yung problemang yon. And then sa oil industry naman po, yung prioritization of the dispensing of petroleum products at the gasoline station. Kasi nga po sa kaguluhan, binigyan po natin ng special lane yung mga public utilities, yung mga government vehicles and other responders. At itong overpricing po, na-address na rin po natin. On port issues and berthing and unloading of petroleum products in Bohol, Cebu, and Siargao Islands. Malaki po tulong ng ating AFP, ng PCG, DOTR. Tulong-tulong po, ganun din po yung DTI, no, sa pagkontrol po ng presyo. And biofuels, blending ethanol, yun na po, sinabi ko kanina, isinuspend na po natin yan. Next slide, please. So, ito pong way forward natin, paano po ba? Tayo lagi tayong binibisita ng typhoons, para sabi ko nga po dito, para tayo nagtitong tutumbang preso. Tayo natin ng poste, babangon, itutumba ng bagyo. So, meron na po tayo nagawang plano rito. Sa DC, meron na po circular ang departamento. 2018, nagawa po ito, January 001, entitled Adoption of Energy Resiliency in the Planning and Programming of Energy Sector to Mitigate Potential Impacts of Disaster through the following. Yun nga pong strengthening of infrastructure, yung mga poste po natin, sabi nga po, either underground, or yung mga poste po, siguro ngayon, nung 2018 na pinag-uusapan po namin yan, 250 kilometers per hour, siguro because of the lakas of the typhoon, we have to consider a minimum of 350 kilometers. Na po. Yung po namang stockpiling, because nandyan na rin po yan, yun na nakaprograma na po rin dahil nga po nagkakaroon ng problema pagka may disaster na kailangan talagang may naka-stockpile pong petrolyo sa lahat ng ating localities po. And then, of course, the systems change and our emergency response and recovery. We have to really improve that. No? But overall, through your administration, Mayor, bumilis ang ating response. No? Katulad nga po, example kahapon, sa Cebu at saka sa Bohol, nakikita na yung pagtutulungan at saka sabi ko sa mga tao, iba na ngayon ang AFP talaga nagtutulong at nagtatrabaho po, no? And really happy na sa support that was given by to us by the uniformed men. Yun lang po muna, Mayor, and hopefully by January 10 or the latest January 30, all will be already fully restored. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Secretary Cusi. Dito mo tayo kay Secretary Mercado. How many bridges were destroyed and yung naputol? Those that
Good evening, Mr. President, Senator Bongo, Secretary Mijaldia, members of the Cabinet, sa ating mga kababayan. Mr. President, as of 12 today, there are only 2 sections of the road and bridges close to traffic. Dalawan lang po, Mr. President. And the most affected where Typhoon Odette has really made its severe damage is on the southwestern section of Cebu province, Mr. President. It really severely damaged 1.5 kilometer section of the road along the Santander Barili-Toledo road section, Mr. President. And one is in Region 4B. The bridge in yung isang bridge doon sa Puerto Princesa City, no? So that is the major damage. Ito talaga, Mr. President, and we will try our best to open it in 1 week, Mr. President, with a detour road to be constructed parallel along the mountainside, Mr. President. We are moving heaven and earth on this, Mr. President. So let's go to the next slide. Of the 47 roads closed, we have cleared 45 national roads, Mr. President. These are closed because of damaged detour, collapsed slope, and pavement, Mr. President. Next. So, this is the status of our national roads. 2 road sections are closed to traffic due to damaged bridge and bridge approach, fallen trees and electric utility posts, debris, soil collapse, collapsed bridge abutment and pavement, washed out revetment and landslide. One in Region 4B and 1 in Region 7, Mr. President. Next. That is the appearance now of the Tagboros Bridge in Puerto Princesa, North Road, Mr. President. And as per my conversation with our district engineer last night, he promised that this bridge will be operational tomorrow, Mr. President.
How
Yeah.
do you propose to use it?
Again, Mr. President.
Yeah, putol kasi, it damage and
Yeah.
it has it has limited the mobility of people there. So when you say that it would be possible, how will you do it with that kind of picture in front of me?
Yeah, Mr. President, as of the moment, they are filling the gap with filling materials, Mr. President, and putting up a revetment wall. No? And at the same time, they are channeling the river so that the flow of the river will not hit the filled portion of the bridge, Mr. President.
So you say that it will be possible
Yes, Mr.
that
President.
portion of okay.
Yes, Mr. President. This will be possible tomorrow, Mr. President.
Good. I am happy again. I'm full of happiness. Ay madaanan
Yeah. We are really working hard because we understand that accessibility is really very important, Mr. President. And that is your marching order also, Mr. President.
Okay.
So this is one of the road section that has borne the brunt of the damage, Mr. President, in Region 7, the Santander Barile Toledo Road, specifically in Barangay Madridijos, Alegria section. As you can see in the images, Mr. President, the entire streets of 2.5 kilometers was washed out because of the typhoon surge, Mr. President. So the pavement is destroyed, the seawall destroyed, there is a scouring. So this one, Mr. President, is of the affected regions. This is the most problematic, and our engineers are working hard, Mr. President. They are constructing the Dito Bridge, Dito Road along this portion, and I told them to make it a little bit higher, so that in case there will be high tide and some winds, it will not be affected anymore. So, and they promised, Mr. President, that this will be finished in 2 weeks, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Sabi ko 1 week, sabi nila, sir, talagang kasi it needs some bulldozing and talagang mahaba-haba rin, sir.
You will be able to clear the area
In 2 weeks,
and
sir.
open to the public again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because the governor, Gwen Garcia, also visited last night. Yeah. And I talked to the district engineer. And I said, please do something. Because Governor Garcia was pleading that even light vehicles can already pass. Because the alternate road, or Dito Road, is it will take 2 hours more before they can reach the other side. So we have to do something about this. And it is one of the priority challenges of our department, Mr. President.
Kaya mo yan. Kaya mo yan.
Yes, sir. So that is the image now in Santander Barile Toledo Road, located in the southwestern portion of the province. So you can see here the scouring. Some portion of the pavement is already lying along the coast to here. Even houses are damaged. This one is really it's very sad to see this portion. People are walking already.
It has carved that side of the road, yung sa right portion.
Yes, sir. This one. So one of the portions here, Mr. President. Maybe here. It's not passable anymore, Mr. President. So we are trying our best to put up a little road, a gravel road before we will construct. And we need immediate funds to construct this road for permanent improvement, Mr. President, a little bit higher. So we have to construct seawall, and then concrete, then cross drainage, and the like, to protect it from another storm surge, Mr. President. So I think we need 50 million pesos, Mr. President.
Do you have the money? Wala.
Well, we will try our best, Mr. President. I am calling the planning and the finance, and tomorrow we will continue to scour for money, and hopefully we can report to you that so that you will be happy, Mr. President. We will be resourceful.
Yeah, but gani ang ano,
Yeah.
Pwede raw pong, sabi ng DBM, pwede raw kunin sa QRF ng disaster fund. Qualified po yun doon.
Yeah, we have requested for augmentation fund, Mr. President, from our savings. But I think because of the damage, we will amend our request and provide funds for this Santander Barili road section, Mr. President.
the senator says that meron.
QRF nyo po, sabi ng DBM, pwede na kunin. Para ma-repair kagad, Secretary.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you, sir.
Ging, if you have the money, how long, how fast can you do it?
2 weeks to 2 weeks.
Ito, Mr. President, hindi lalampas ito ng mga 3 to 4 months. Massive infusion of equipments and overtime of our contractors.
4 months.
Kasi talagang may maggawa ka ng seawall, you have to negotiate for these owners pa dito, sir. I-transfer pa itong mga bahay. I do not know kung papayag ba sila. We have to...
Are they built using the easements? Yung bahay kasi malapit sa daan. There's an easement there. The houses are being erected.
Kaya nga, Mr. President, I issued a department order na making it to strictly implement the road right-of-way provision of the law and the no-build zone. Kasi in a no-build zone, no structure should be built within the 40 meters from the center line going towards the shore. No?
So the picture that you see, is there a violation there?
Yes, this one, they violated, Mr. President. They are within the 40 meters no-build zone. And this one, they violated also because the road right-of-way should only be 15 meters from the center line, 15 meters before you can start construction. This one, it's very clear that they are within the 15 meters road right-of-way zone.
Sir, may alternative route dyan? Wala na.
Baka, kung ano, sir, baka dito tayo, kung ano.
O kasi kung dito sa coastal, kakainin din yan ng kakainin din yan ng malakas na alon.
We will try our best to negotiate with them and convince them na mag-relocate na lang sila because I think talagang dangerous na ito dito, sir.
Kakainin din, no?
Alam mo, pag tayo niya, when they built their houses there, they knew that they were occupying the easement rights of government. Kasi ano yan parang nasa shoulder lang yan. Parang nasa shoulder lang ng...
At saka ito, Mr. President, hindi ito isolated. Almost all our islands, shorelines, are experiencing this problem. Our people are building within the no-build zone and within the road right of way. Kaya mahirapan talaga tayo.
Alam mo, contemporary times, ganito yan. Marami talagang mahirap na tao. And they cannot erect houses on private lands because they will get sued and there will be a forced removal by order of the court. So karamihan ito, yung bahay na yan, mahal yan ang karamihan nito, ang mga tao kasi will go to the roadside. Kasi yan lang ang pwede nilang gamitin na alam nila sa gobyerno. So, yan ang ginagawa nila. Itong mga bahay na ito, yung talagang pinamahirap, those people living along just beside the highways, yun yung mga mahirap na walang malagyan ng bahay nila. At dito naman, alam mo, mahirap talaging yung trabaho mo kasi you're dealing with human beings at wala naman sila malagyan and they cannot be relocated. So if you intend to destroy that, is there a relocation site for them?
We have to talk to our Secretary Del Rosario and GM sa Escalada, sir, of the National Housing Authority and the LGU also.
Madali lang yan. Mabilis. I think that sila Ed and Escalada are doing their best. That's before Odette. Now, ngayon, if we are cleaning the highways there, you have to evict so many people. Walang mapuntahan. Just like there are two ways of doing it. They occupy the roadside easements or nandyan sila sa tubig. They build houses along the banks of rivers. Kaya yan ang that's the butt of the matter, frankly. Ganon ang nangyari. We cannot control because wala silang malagyan. At kung sisirain naman the long stretch of the road, maglipat lang yan ng layo-layo ng konti, tapos gano'n rin ang mangyari. Alam mo, you need to talk to the mayors and mayors, but governors, but more importantly is how the mayor would govern his city or municipality. Kasi sila lang ang makaturo kung saan lilipat tong mga to. Ang akin kasi, I do not want to dismantle or to destroy houses unless there is a relocation site. Malaki nga ang problema mo dyan, sa totoo lang. when you begin to bulldoze those houses there, you have a problem in your hands, and that is a social problem actually. That is the problems that would confront government from doing its duty to the fullest. Ganon eh. Hindi kayo nagkulang. Kaya lang, ang mga tao, these are human beings, you just destroy a house and leave them outside. Ay, saan matutulog yan? Huwag ka natrapal. Kaya, kailangan mo ang mayor. Alam mo ko ang mayor, kung ginusto talaga niya ang syudad niya o munisipyo niya in order, he has to impose discipline. But for others, hindi rin talaga madala yung I really do not know. Yeah, in the Philippines, along highways all throughout, pati yung dito sa dagat, nandyan rin yung mga let's call a spade, mga squatters. Squatters, but they are Filipinos. And their only fault is that they are poor. And that is why we have to grapple with reality and how to go about fixing a place or building whatever infrastructure. Mahirap. Kausapin mo muna yung mayor bago mo sirain. Maybe if we can find a relocation site. But I am not in favor of starting to dismantle the houses. Kasi, Secretary, ito yung mga nowhere to go. If they are driven out of the spaces along the highways, they will look for a place to transfer to, and invariably the other option open for them is to look for rivers, and then they will start to build houses along rivers. And that is why when these catastrophes happen, they are the ultimate sacrifice dyan. Wala kasi tayong malagyan. No? There are just so many people that are really very poor. Wala lang makagawa ka ng bahay sa subdivision. So, 1 out of 1,000. The huge crowd of masses, walang malipatan. Ang mayor, pag hindi pumasok ang mayor, mahirapan ka talaga. It's the mayor. Ikaw galing ka dyan eh. Pag sinabi ng mayor, ganon, at gagawin talaga niya. Hindi tayo dito sa itaas. Because we know the problem. We know the lack of space. But is the mayor who would look for a relocation site before you begin to destroy the house, a place where they can transfer. But that would be another day to discuss. I still have a report. Go ahead.
Sir, with your permission, can we talk to the mayor with our
Yes.
Secretary Del Rosario and GM Escalada, sir?
Yes, sir.
So, share the problem with them. Not give the problem to them, but share our quandary na ganito nga tayo. Once you open a new highway, immediately houses of the poor people begin to sprout alongside. That is what happens. Kaya pag nagbaha ng malaki, ang maraming mamatay, dyan sa riverbanks or the coastal places where there are kasi libre. Hindi naman mapigilan kasi wala naman mapuntahan. I said, that's the quandary that we have to face. I don't know. Itong mga ganito, how you would handle it. Yes.
Hi, Mr. President. Sir, at this stage, nasa na tayo, sir? Nasa post-disaster needs assessment. So yung OCD po, pati ang NEDA, will now be finalizing yung post-disaster needs assessment to find out ano yung mga pangangailangan natin for rehab and recovery. So in our post-disaster, Mr. President, kasama na yung may subcommittee tayo on infrastructure and then may subcommittee rin po tayo on shelter.
Tanggalin mo yung mask mo, total. Bakunado ka man kaya.
Yes, sir. So meron
hawa mo si Secretary Darlo.
So meron po tayong subcommittee on infrastructure, then may subcommittee rin po tayo on shelter. So tama po kayo, sir, pag during the needs assessment, makikita natin not only the infrastructure na kailangan natin ayusin, but also yung mga paglilipatan ng matatamaan, lalo na sa mga no-build zones. And very important, sir, na Mr. President, na yung LGU. Usually yung counterparting dyan, yung LGU po yung mag-identify ng malilipatan to transfer itong mga affected families. And then yung shelter, ibibigay ng ating national government. But ang counterpart talaga, Mr. President, yung LGU yung mag-identify kung saan lilipat. And then tutulong sila dun sa paglipat, sir.
These are the same. These were for the other presidents to actually clean the roadsides, sa mga highways, in the easement portion sa gobyerno. That 6 years hindi mo kayang gawin. You go to expropriation, tapos lalaban yan, then they go to court and appeal, and until it reaches the Supreme Court. Pagdating ng Supreme Court, matagal pa yan. And in the meantime, the problem gets serious and serious at almost beyond control. And that is the movement, demography of people where they are and how they would stay there for how many years. Yan lang pag lahat ng highway sa Pilipinas, nandyan yan. And you have to go into a relocation, a huge undertaking. Mahirap. Milyon yan. Yung nasa coastal, yung dito naman sa riverbanks. Pati yung mga areas where it's have been cleaned up by the logging and even the mining. Kita mo dyan ang so really, gusto mong hintuin. Ako gusto ko hintuin yung nakikita ko kasing butas sa itaas. Whenever I fly, especially in Mindanao, makikita mo yung butas na butas, parang sa taas, parang nakikita cork ng takip ng cup ng Coca-Cola. Puro butas yan. And again, you encounter so many objections also coming from itong kung ano ang gusto nilang mangyari. Ewan ko, hard to solve. or it can never find a solution until all Filipinos are raised from poverty at makabili sila ng bahay. And that would come in a long time. Ewan ko kung sinong makagawa yan. 6 years, kulang. Kulang talaga. I don't know how we would solve the problem. So, go ahead, you still have
Thank you, Mr. President. Yun lang po, except that we are calling our people to drive safely kasi marami pa rin kunti mga lubi, mga pools na kuhan. So, they have to be very careful. At saka, we are conducting also, the department is conducting a relief operation also, Mr. President, through their contribution, especially to the affected employees of our department. That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you. Alam mo, itong kailangan to kasi makinig yung tao. This is not a one show. Because it would take so many hours to complete. So let me just read my message to everybody. Basahin ko na lang. He said, good evening to all Filipinos here in the Philippines and around the world. I greet all of you a Merry Christmas, even though we are in a state of suffering. Hayaan na lang natin yung lalo na yung mga tao ngayon natutulog lang sa kahoy, pati plastic. Do not worry. Dadating kami at we will try our best to improve the situation. And last Wednesday and Thursday, I went to Siargao, Surigao City, Dinagat Islands, Palawan, and Cebu. Well, I have been to the Visayas. Yung lugar ni Secretary Mercado Maasin. Diyan ako pinanganak eh. Yung ano niya. At, well, it's damaged. I'd like to show a clip of the places that we visited.